Hello, this is Sifan from the Mr. Autofire wiki, and for my first video this year I thought I'll do a review of Prospero, given that many of you have unlocked him from the battle pass and there's a magic heroes only endless event starting tomorrow as well. So the first thing you'll notice is that Prospero's passive skill is magic bullets, which means that whenever your shots hit an enemy it generates magic bullets which can even go through walls, and the damage they do is a function of the regular damage of your shot. So let's take a look at how that works. So I'm using the laser rifle here because it's slow and it's easy to see the numbers, otherwise I don't really recommend that you use this gun. So let's see how it goes. So as you can see, on the direct hit on this ground range enemies it does 8034 damage, and the magic bullet goes off and it does 1366, which is 17% of the original shot damage. Comes back again and it does 233, which is 17% of 1366. Next one is 40, which is 17% of the previous hit, and finally on the last hit 7, which is again 17% of 40. So 4 hits each time, reducing down to 17% of the previous one. To keep the explanation simple, I picked a room that had only one kind of enemy, in this case ground ranged, but depending on whether it's ground range, ground melee, flying ranged or flying melee, the amount of damage the magic bullets do will be different, and in that case it doesn't matter which enemy generated the magic bullets, it only matters what enemy is being hit by it, and that 17% calculation will be based against the damage your shot would do for that type of enemy. By the way, I think there's a bug in the daily events, because as you can see my direct damage was 8619. We'd expect the magic bullets to be 17% of that, and that's correct. 17% is 1465. My crit is 2.03, so it's doing 2975, and then we'd expect the next one to be 17% of 1465, but it's only 150, which is just over 10%, and then the next one is 15, which is again the 10%, and then finally only 2, which is again 10%, and all of these numbers are rounded up. So for some reason on the daily events the numbers are less than what we expect. So there's a few interesting perk interactions. I took double barrel here, and then zap shots and improve poison. So let's see what all of these do. So first thing we'll notice is that with the double barrel our shot damage reduces, so that's why it's 6576 instead of the 8000 odd we had before. But let's look at what happens with the magic bullets. It's doing 1466, the same as before. So even though double and triple barrel reduces the damage of your forward shots, the magic bullets it generates doesn't lose any power. And another thing you might notice is that the magic bullets are also zapping and are also giving increased poison. So the magic bullets actually spread all the elemental damages, so zap, poison, ice and fire. So here's an example where you can see fire being spread, and this one we're going to have, I think, ice and zap, yes. So this means that all 4 elemental perks are actually more useful when it comes to Prospero. Because the magic bullets are doing 17% of the damage of your regular shot, anything that improves your regular shots, that is power tripper, gun heart, fast shots, big attack up, small attack up, will also improve the damage of your magic bullets. Not only that, if you watch one of those mystery crates and you get an attack boost to your regular shots, then that will also carry forward to your magic bullets. Surprisingly, Berserk also carries forward, as you can see here with this level of damage. My magic bullets are doing 2906, and let's go forward a little bit more till I'm hurt and the Sisu comes, and this time you can see it's doing 3062 on the magic bullet. So it's gone up as my health has gone down, just the way the Berserk works. So now that we know how magic bullets work, let's see how we can get the best out of it. By default it looks like magic bullets are buffing your damage by about 20%. 17% from the first magic bullet, and then just over 3% or so for the others, because they do much less damage. But one of the key things to realize is that these spread elemental damage, and this makes ice and zap especially useful because each hit generates ice damage and zap damage. Fire and poison can also be spread, but because those are damage over time and not per hit, even though they were buffed recently, I'm not really a fan of either of them. So I'm not sure the exact calculation on the zap damage. As you can see here, my direct hit zap seems to be 604, but the magic bullet zap looks like 777, which is even higher than my direct hit zap. So It seems like Zap is a really good perk to have, and then Ice, although it doesn't do as much damage, is also useful for slowing things down. And in addition to those two elemental perks, we've been looking at how magic bullets damage is a function of your regular shot damage, but even if an indirect hit, that means a shot weakened by piercing, chain, bouncy boomerang, or dividing, if any of those generate magic bullets, those are also full power magic bullets and will also do ice and zap damage. And interestingly, those perks also work really well with ice and zap. So what would be the ideal perk build for Prospero? Some of the perks that are part of a good perk build anyway, that is homing, multi, spread shots, bouncy, double, triple barrel. These are good for Prospero as well. But chain shots become much more useful than they would be for other heroes, and ice and zap also become priority perks here. When it comes to what weapon to use, the looper is the obvious choice because you're starting with piercing and with boomerang until you get bouncy. If you don't have the looper, or your looper is weak because you just unlocked it, you're probably going to be better off with the autogun because it works well with ice and zap. The laser could be a choice because you start with piercing, but because the game is just so biased against slow guns, I wouldn't really recommend it. And I definitely would advise you not to use the Gemini laser because the laser link doesn't generate magic bullets. The last thing I'd like to talk about is whether or not Prospero should be your main magic hero. This is a bit tricky because we haven't yet heard about Prospero shards dropping in the magic castles, and if they're not going to drop, and if the only way to get those shards is from banner summons, then that's really expensive, and I would recommend that you keep Hecate as your main hero just because it's easy to get the shards from the weekly event as well as from the magic castle. So I hope all of these helps you get your best out of Prospero. Good luck for the endless run, and maybe I'll see you on one of the leaderboards.